Welcome to StorImagination. Let your ears and the mind work. Today's story is about Shimchong, the daughter of a blind man, a folktale from Korea. Long time ago, in a village in North Korea, lived a blind man named Shim with his daughter Shimchong. Shim did petty jobs to earn a living and did his best to raise his child. Shimchong loved her father a lot. She felt bad to see him struggle with his blindness. She always prayed God to bless her father with sight. Years passed by. Shimchong grew up into a very beautiful girl. She learned the art of making beautiful baskets with different colors and designs and sold them in the market. That way, the extra income she got helped them live a comfortable life. One day, Shimchong was returning home from the market. It started raining heavily, and Shimchong decided to wait under a shade. Meanwhile, her father got anxious and worried, as Shimchong never used to come home late. He went out in search of her, calling out her name loudly. "Shimchong, where are you, my dear child? Where are you?" Suddenly, he slipped and fell into a deep pitch. "Help me! Help me! Help!" he shouted in panic. A monk passing by saw him and helped him climb up. The monk said, "Oh man, are you blind? Why did you come out alone in the rain?" Shim told him he had come in search of his little daughter and their suffering. Hearing his story, the monk said, "If you give 300 sacks of rice to the temple as an offering to Lord Buddha, then you will get your eyesight back." Shim thanked the monk and promised to give 300 sacks of rice to the temple. The monk helped him reach home safe. By then, Shimchong had also returned home. He told her everything that happened and what the monk had said. "Ah, that's so nice to hear, father. We will definitely give 300 sacks of rice. You will be able to see the trees, the flowers, birds, our people, and me. I'm so happy, father." Shimchong started jumping in joy. But soon they realized they could not afford it and felt upset. Shim cried, "Oh, dear daughter, how will I keep up my promise? I cannot even offer 3 bowls of rice, but have given my word for 300 sacks. "Yes, father, what will we do?" cried Shimchong. Meanwhile, there was a rich merchant in the town who once had disposed of a lot of waste into the sea. The Sea King was furious as his sea world was contaminated, and he swallowed up ship after ship belonging to the merchant. After suffering huge loss, the merchant approached the priest, who suggested him to sacrifice a girl to the Sea King to calm him down. One day, when Shimchong was in the market, a sailor made an announcement that his merchant was looking out for a girl who could sacrifice herself to the Sea King, and the merchant would pay hundreds of gold coins to her family. Hearing this, the people in the market started discussing, who on earth would sacrifice oneself in return for gold coins? Shimchang suddenly remembered the monk's words and followed the sailor to see the merchant. "I need 300 sacks of rice to offer in the temple, which will help my father regain his eyesight. If I offer myself to the Sea King, will you promise to give the rice sacks to my father?" The merchant was surprised, as 300 sacks of rice was nothing to him when compared to the gold coins he was ready to offer. He was even more surprised to see such a devoted daughter. Shimchong went back home. She was happy she could help her father regain his eyesight, but cried every night as she could not bear the thought of parting with her father. Finally, the day came when she had to leave. She handed over 300 sacks of rice to the temple in the name of her father and quietly left her home. Shim, however, did not get his eyesight back even after the offering. So not just his eyes, he had lost his loving daughter too. Through one of the market vendors, when Shim came to know about the deal, he cried badly and ran around calling out, "Shimchong, please come back. Please don't do that. I don't want my eyes, but you. Without you, my eyes mean nothing to me. Shimchong, Shimchong." But she was gone. Now, Shimchong was on the ship with the sailors. The ship reached a deep part of the sea. Suddenly, a strong wind rose and the sea roared. Shimchong was signaled to jump into the sea. She prayed to God to keep her father safe and happy and jumped into the sea. As soon as she jumped, the roaring waters became calm and the ship sailed safely. The merchant and the sailors, however, cried and wished she came back alive, as she was a very loving daughter. Shimchong sank deeper and deeper into the icy cold sea. When she opened her eyes, she saw a beautiful palace and wondered, "Am I alive or dead? What is this place?" She was taken to the Sea King, who commanded his attendants to take good care of her. She lived there with all comfort, but was terribly missing her father. She wept now and then, thinking of her father. The Sea King said, "Shimchong, I can't see you crying. You are a very nice girl. Go back to your father. I will transform you into a flower and send you back to the world above." The very next minute, Shimchong turned into a lotus. She thanked the sea god and reached the seashore, floating in the shore. The sailors who had brought Shimchong found the lotus on their return journey. The lotus looked so beautiful and bright that the sailors decided to offer it to their king. The king was very happy to see such a lovely flower that he rewarded them with gold coins. When the king touched the flower, it bloomed and a beautiful girl walked out. And the girl was, of course, Shimchong. The king at once fell in love with her and made her his queen. As the king's wife, Shimchong had a luxurious life, but she could not forget her father. The king too noticed Shimchong was unhappy for some reason. "Why are you always looking sad, dear?" he asked. "Please tell me. I have even seen you crying at times. Are you not happy being my queen? Or is there something else that's troubling you? Please tell me in what way I can help you." Shimchong told him the whole story. The king started liking her even more, seeing her love for her father, and decided to find her father for her. "Oh, this is so simple, my lady. Tell me where your father stays. I will send my soldiers to bring him here, or even we can visit him and bring him along." Unfortunately, Shimchong could only remember her father, but forgot about the place where she was born and raised. The king thought hard and got an idea. He threw a party and invited all the blind people in the country. The big day arrived, and one by one, blind men from all over his country started gathering at the palace party hall. Shimchang's eyes kept searching for her father. As time passed by, she was worried if her father was safe and alive. she cried unconsolably. The king said, "Dear queen, please do not lose hope. It's a king's order, so definitely everyone will come. Let us wait patiently." Just as he said this, an old man entered the palace. He was looking shabby and tired too, because of the long travel he had taken to reach the king's palace. Shimchong immediately recognized her father and ran to him. "Father, I'm Shimchong, your daughter. I'm so happy to see you again."
"My daughter?"
said the surprised old man and cried,
"Are you alive? I heard you offered yourself to the seeking, and I felt shattered and lost. What are you doing here in the palace? Is it really you, my child? I wish I can see you."
The very moment a miracle happened, the old man opened his eyes, and lo, he could see. He was overjoyed to see his daughter for the first time. They both hugged and cried. The king was so pleased to see his wife and her father reunited. He came up to his father-in-law and said, "Father, you asked what your daughter is doing here in the palace. She is the queen here, and I'm your son-in-law. Please bless us and stay with us." And it was party time, not just for the blind men, but for the entire kingdom. Shimchong, her king, and her father lived happily ever after. Hope you like the story. See you another day with another story. Stay safe and stay happy. Ta-ta.